I wanted to talk to you today about something that is rampant in our Christian culture, in our society in general, within our politics, within our classes. Why do we separate ourselves from one another? Why is it necessary for most only to associate with people that believe the same way they do? This happens in our politics, in our socioeconomic classes, and in our religion. In America, mainly within our politics and religion. I was in the Christian fundamentalist church system for most of my adult life, and I remember well only forming relationships with those that believed the same as me. I looked down upon Democrats because within my church class, most of us were Republicans and believed in the Republican platform. But why do we do this? Why do we erect various forms of Chinese walls between people? What are we so afraid of? What is it that ruffles our feathers so when we hear a differing opinion, we feel the need to restrict ourselves? Why do we feel we need consensus? Why do we feel we need consensus to feel good about ourselves? The Christian church system, while filled with great people, generally seek those within the system itself to associate with. And to me, this kind of ignores the pattern of Jesus. I mean, he basically associated with everyone and anyone. And he didn't judge people. When I left the church system, I found myself trying to gain consensus as well with my newfound beliefs. And that began to puzzle me. I wanted others to believe like me in order that I felt comfortable, accepted, safe. I want to read to you a little bit from my book, Escaping Christianity and Finding Christ. I speak with many transitioning Christians who, in good conscience, cannot exist within the limiting dogmatic belief systems. What ultimately happens is, as they begin their exodus, like me, they want their friends to see the insidiousness of their programming and try to dismantle the system from the inside out. Unfortunately, that just doesn't work, and it's also not the pattern set by Jesus when he had conflict within the religious systems of his day. They forced him out of the synagogues and the temples, so he taught in the fields and the homes, gardens, boats, mountainsides. Structured Christian fundamentalism cannot contain the ever-expanding consciousness of its namesake, and that is Christ. These religious systems built egocentric institutions that, in order to survive, must pander to the human ego. Ego-dominant structures will always be threatened by such freedom, for in that freedom there is no consensus, and where there is no consensus, there is fear. The ego needs to be and must be right. Our freedom lies within our ability to shed the restriction that keeps our consciousness from unfolding, like the old wineskin that Jesus taught about, which is a metaphor for an old way of thinking and perceiving reality. This old way of thinking and perceiving reality cannot contain the new consciousness of the kingdom age that Jesus spoke of. Jesus demonstrated the pattern for freedom that clearly defines how to shed the restrictiveness of fear, and notably fear-based religious systems or the law. Basically Old Testament behavioral patterns. It's my hope that the information within this book will in some way help to awaken those seekers still enveloped within fundamentalism and display the unconditional love and hope that the Savior of theirs so eloquently expressed through the holistic and metaphoric interpretation of his parables. I know of many spiritual seekers within Christianity who will not speak of their evolving beliefs or their doubt concerning some of the more absurd doctrines within the church, fearing that if they do, they'll suffer the loss of relationships and standing within their church community. Those within the grasp of dogma, who have been subjected to years of programming, will feel a good measure of discomfort when they read this material. The discomfort they feel is a key indicator of their level of indoctrination. But I encourage them to press through. End quote. So what about you? What are your thoughts on this? If you are beginning to transition out of your church system or your belief structures, do you feel like you can boldly talk about your evolving beliefs with your former friends? And if you had, what is your experience from that? I'd like to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Till next time. Bye.